Today I'm discussing how spiritual people in particular self-sabotage receiving their heart's desires. And it has to do with how we have been spiritually told to try to overcome jealousy and envy and what it looks like to emotionally alchemize these feelings from our heart. So let's get started.
Welcome to the I'm Perfectly Divine podcast, a place for the strong, sensitive spiritual seeker to recognize the perfection of your human journey as at both the emotional and spiritual worlds through proven and grounded frameworks that support you to live in the wholeness you already are. For over the past 2 decades, I have supported people from all around the world, as well as Fortune 500 companies, to dissolve the divisions within them and live with greater empowerment and love. This podcast is an exploration of the paradoxes that befuddle us as we live our lives being both human and divine. Together, you and I, along with other experts, will navigate integrating psychology and spirituality, the divine feminine and the divine masculine, the darkness and the light, to create greater sacred union from within. I believe through your remembering that you are innately divine, that you will allow yourself to more openly shine. So let's get to it, because your unique light is needed more than ever.
Hello, beautiful soul. Thank you for joining me today. I am excited about this topic because it's all about how spiritual people like you, like me, tend to inhibit receiving the very things in life that we desire. And it's so important that I share this with you because it was really, of course, you know me, I like to give it to you real and raw as I go through some of my own experiences and what came through as I was experiencing jealousy and really what it meant to alchemize, emotionally alchemize jealousy from the heart, and how if we don't do this, that we can be getting in our own way. And this is so important to me again because I know you're a good-hearted person. You are walking your path as consciously as possible. And what happens is that we can have spiritual understandings from the past that I think did not give us credit for the power of understanding our hearts from love, and that we can learn to hold the complexity of our humanity and our divinity. And so that's what I believe is really shifting when it comes to our spirituality, and how we can still carry the wisdom from the past, but recognize when we're ready to go to that next phase of emotionally alchemizing, which means being able to receive every emotion as a gateway to understanding more of who we are, and especially more of the love that we are. And that is part of the receiving that is happening when we have a desire. And so I really want to share with you my experience, and how I too, when I experienced jealousy, how I immediately went to shame, and how I processed that quickly so that I could really take in the loving guidance that jealousy was trying to offer. So it seems very natural and normal that jealousy is one of those emotions that, especially as spiritual people, we're like, I don't want to be that. That makes me a bad person. That's not who I'm supposed to be. And we know this in our minds, but it's it's something that we are experiencing that it feels like is outside of our control. Like there's something within our heart that is feeling lack, that is desiring something, and you don't know how to get past that. And then spiritually, we've been told it's wrong, right? Envy, which is jealousy's sister, basically, is considered to be one of the seven deadly sins. So, yeah, we're like, how can I avoid this at all costs? And that's where we can really find ourselves in this place of unknowingly self-sabotaging ourselves because we are rejecting a part of ourselves that we have been led to believe is bad. And that is why I'm so passionate about this podcast, because nothing about us is bad. And these emotions that are coming forward are here to help us remember the love that we are. So today we are going to explore how these outdated notions, such as telling us what it means to be a good spiritual person, is actually keeping us from remembering the love that we innately are, and therefore our ability to deepen our own innate spiritual connection. Because our innate spiritual connection comes from our heart, not from performance, not by trying to be good, but by knowing more and more within our hearts the love that we are. And so today I'm going to use myself as the example on how I worked, how I integrated this, emotionally alchemized this. And as part of our conversation, I want to explore how to shift from either or approach when it comes to our negative feelings to a both and approach. And then the difference between gaining understanding and insight in our minds versus actually processing and alchemizing your emotions and triggers in your hearts, where there aren't this there aren't these differences between the dark and the light, that you see them all aspects of yourself as love. And so we're going to share more how that is. And this is exactly where I see so many good-hearted people get stuck, because you think you've processed an emotion because you can now see past your ego's interpretation of that trigger, and you're like, okay, I got it. That's all I need to get through this. And that's actually just the beginning. That's the gateway point to say, okay, and now do you want to enter this gateway, right? And so what's happening is that a lot of people are led to think that if I get this, then I can just change my mindset, and that's all that it takes. And this is really, it's it's one thing to understand something from our mind, and there's another thing to feel it within our heart. And that is the gift of emotional alchemy, is that you embody greater love because of a negative feeling and how it's guided you to know, love, and honor more aspects of yourself. So I cannot say it enough that emotional alchemy is a skill that you want to continue practicing because, as you're going to see today, it is a lifelong skill set. We want to continue to remember the love that we are, and that's why our negative emotions are arising. And I share this topic in particular exactly because this is recently what I went through, and I want to use myself as an example to work through some of these myths that we have about being spiritual, or what it means to emotionally grow, or even what it means to quote unquote be in alignment, and how this can actually set us up to keep tripping over ourselves rather than knowing and remembering the love that we are. And the biggest one is, I've done so much work, I should be over being triggered. And I just want you to know that there will always be a podcast called I'm Perfectly Divine as long as I can do it, because what I know is that I am going to continue to get triggered. And I say that because that's kind of the point to being here in the human form, is that we're experiencing the expansiveness of love in greater and greater ability of our hearts to do so. And to get there, we are going to get triggered to help us understand where we're blocked. So I get it. We don't want to constantly feel emotionally triggered. And I do believe through the practice and skill set of learning how to process our emotions, to practice emotional alchemy, that triggers tend to happen less often, which is a relief. So that when they do happen, you want to take notice. You do take notice and you invite this as an initiation to greater love. And that's been one of the biggest shifts for me is that shifting from, oh my goodness, I should be over this by now to, oh, actually, this is the gateway to more love. And this is one of the biggest shifts that is that triggers aren't looked at like, oh my gosh, here's more proof that there's something wrong with me. And instead, it's I'm being shown where I am limiting the love that wants to arise within me. And what a gift. What a gift that there gets to be more love. So show me the way. Show me the way. And we cannot be shown the way if we automatically shut down our human experiences and tell ourselves that it's bad or should be shameful, such as being jealous, and then tell ourselves this is bad or makes us bad. It makes us human and and there's vital information there for us. There's vital information trying to come through that emotion. That's why emotional energy is so strong. It's to get us to shift out of beliefs and ideas and notions and perspectives and behaviors that's limiting us and to transform our lives and our hearts if we're willing. And so where we get off track is if we allow hate or fear to win. And I know what it's like to have hate and fear win. I know what it's like to have fear get the best of me. Where in my past, I've had jealousy arise. And then I kind of pretended to be happy for another person. But deep down, I wish that life would take them down a notch so I could feel better about myself. And let me tell you, all I was doing was fooling myself. I'm sure I wasn't fooling the other person, but what was actually happening, I was not just fooling myself, but I was harming myself. I was harming myself by not processing and alchemizing my jealousy from love. Because there's no way to remember the love that I am when I am so full of fear of not having some desire that I want to secretly bring someone down that has it, right? That is turning up the amplification of this notion that I don't have. And then I'm just reinforcing that my fear is accurate and then recreate that over and over and over again. So if my jealousy needs to bring someone down, then I'm just reinforcing that my current state is as good as it's going to get. And there's no way that I can rise to have the experience that this other person is having. So that's what gets reinforced in how I live my life. And that is a form of self-sabotage. And so I think it's important to point this out because maybe you're not having the part where you want to bring someone down a notch, or at least that you're aware of. But we want to be able to see that any parts of us that are getting jealous and getting hooked with that because we believe that the current state is as good as it's going to get. And we have all this reason and proof as to why that is. And we can never have what the other person is having. And this is exactly the beauty of why your emotion is coming forward, why you feel jealous or envious, because it's guiding us to recognize how we're not allowing ourselves to bring forward our desires. And this is why I love our emotions so much, because they are guiding us to see, first of all, to wake up and to see how is this way that we're operating working for us. And that's what I love. Like emotions are this a beautiful alarm that's basically saying, okay, this is the outcome again. How is this working for you? And so if I'm reinforcing something that I don't want to actually have, that emotion is going to keep arising to get my attention so that I have the opportunity to learn from it and do differently. Every time our emotion arises, it's there guiding us. Okay, we've got option A over here and option B over here. What are we going to do? And, I've chosen option A, the unhealthy one, over and over again until it hurts so much that I'm finally willing to look at option B. And this is the opportunity because option B is the way that our ego says, oh, you can't go over there. How on earth could you receive something as bad and horrendous as your envy, your jealousy? But today we're going to do exactly that. Now, the second way we self-sabotage then is like, okay, I don't want to be jealous. I know what it's like to allow jealousy to get the best of me. So I'm just going to be happy for the other person and move on. Okay. So this is obviously better than wishing to bring them down a notch, and to make you feel better about yourself. Again, normal, but not where we want to be because we just reinforce our outcomes that we don't want. So, but what's happening here is that, okay, we're not allowing fear to try to bring down another, but the fear is still happening if we're kind of skipping over our jealousy, hoping that if we just wish a person well or are happy for them, that it'll go away, rather than truly alchemize your jealousy. So this is where we get stuck understanding something in our minds. Like my mind knows that jealousy is bad. And so if I'm just happy for another person, this is going to go away. That's what our minds do. And that's all fine and well if, and the big if, you can be honest with yourself. And the honesty part is that am I going to take note that if my jealousy keeps showing up again and again with the same person, or maybe another person brings it up, and I'm feeling triggered yet again with the sense of jealousy. And then we know the feeling is not alchemized, right? It could because it keeps coming up. It's trying to get your attention. Your mind might know better or thinks it knows better because it's saying jealousy is bad, be happy for these people. But your heart is still hurting on some level. And so think about that, what we're doing then. We're judging ourselves that we're bad or our jealousy is bad, and we're ignoring our hearts because we're afraid that it means we're bad people. And of course, that we're going to get stuck because we're not receiving ourselves from love. We're judging ourselves. And our jealousy is something never to shame, but to just lean into with compassion, because it's with compassion that we can have understanding. So we continue to get triggered over the same thing because it's the opportunity being presented to us to know that there is more love to be let into our hearts. And it's from your heart that emotions are alchemized, not our heads. And this again is the number two reason, most common reason I see wonderful, beautiful, spiritual people getting stuck is because you know better in your mind, but your heart is still in pain on some level, and we don't know what to do with it. So here we are. What do? We know we don't want to be vengeful with our jealousy and envy, and yet we don't know what to do with it. So I'm going to share my experience and what I would say is the third way that spiritual people tend to self-sabotage their desires, and one that I was doing and I didn't even know I was doing it. And that's why I had to create this episode. So here I was with a friend, and she was telling me about an amazing experience that she just had. And it's an experience that I would love to have too. And this stirred up jealousy. So what did I do? Well, I knew in the moment that this felt like this was initiation energy. This was initiatory in being able to hold both my excitement for her and my jealousy. So why this was important for me is because I would say in the past I would do either or. Usually I would say I have gone well, okay, early on, I would say I would pretend to be happy for someone, or I try, no, I wouldn't pretend. I would try to be happy for someone, but inside my mind is going nuts, saying, you know, just all these stories of why I am lacking and will never have what they have. And so I get so caught in my own head that there's no way that I could be present with this person and what they're experiencing. So I didn't want to be that. So then I'd go way over on the spiritual side and just be so excited for them that I was trying to cover up this part of me that was like, yeah, no, I would love to have that experience too, right? And it would just be like a little bit overzealous, trying to make up for the part of me that was jealous because I would be too ashamed to be jealous. And so what I did was, I'm like, I just need to practice holding both. And there's nothing to really share with another person because this isn't about them. It's they're having their life and it's interwoven in our lives for a reason. So I knew this person, I mean, she's been interwoven in my life in so many beautiful ways. And part of it is my own remembrance. The people closest to us are they're there to support us in our own remembrance. And so it was just really being able to hold both and not dismiss my jealousy and especially not shame it, but also not to get into my ego's lack story because once you start practicing this skill set, you understand that it's coming from love. And so with just this permission, of me not shaming myself for feeling this jealousy get stirred up, I lean into her experience and what she's feeling. And it's like right then and there, my heart opens up to what it must have felt like for her. And I feel so tuned into that I just feel present with her in a way that I've never been able to do in the previous versions. So that for me was what it was like to hold both and. It was like I felt like I got to experience these moments with her and witness them and witness the importance of them for her. And like it just brought more love because I got to experience, like I just felt blessed to be able to witness and feel this and the importance of it for her because I was able to feel and honor my own experience as well. It's like it just opened that up, just that in and of itself. So that was the first part of being able to step into what it means to emotionally alchemize was that I'm going to practice the both and I'm not going to shame myself for feeling jealousy. I know there is something here for me that I want to understand more. And boom, that lessens some of the defensiveness. And it's like I'm not giving energy to these stories of lack right now. I really want to be with my friend that had amazing experiences and allowing that. It's just like part of the alchemy was that it just opened up to more of her heart and what she got to experience and the love in that. And so I was allowing myself to acknowledge my jealousy without shame. And that allowed me to be truly more in the moment with her and her felt experience of what her heart encountered. And what's important about this is being with the felt sense is the gift because this is how we get an indicator about what the trigger is actually about for you. Your ego makes it about the thing, about the experience. This person got to experience a vacation that was cool, a spiritual experience that was cool, some gift that was cool, whatever. But it's not about that. And really what's coming forward is and what I'll say is your ego will say, well, you didn't get that, right? And your ego tells you never will. And that's not what it's about. It's what your heart wants you to know is that you're yearning to experience that felt sense within your heart. And so part of the opportunity is that when we allow our hearts to basically synchronize with another's heart and their expansiveness, we're getting what it's like, wow, like how important that felt sense is to our hearts that is totally not related to our egos. And so then after we met, that's when I'm like, okay, now it's time for me to process my jealousy and really understand what this was about from a place still of love and compassion. And let me tell you, this is where it was so eye-opening, so eye-opening. And this is the third way that I believe spiritual people self-sabotage, because if I wasn't able to fully receive my jealousy from love, I would not have been able to recognize how, as a spiritual person, I was denying something that the divine wants me to receive. So, what this person received that my heart also wants to receive is an outside acknowledgement. And the divine was utilizing the gift of jealousy to awaken me to see how I was not allowing this. I was self-sabotaging this. I literally would tell myself that external acknowledgement isn't necessary because I am blessed to feel so much love and acknowledgement from within. But the divine is showing me, like, why are you stopping there? That I was limiting what the universe wants to give me, to show me, for me to experience the beauty in being externally acknowledged. So the reason why I had defenses around this was in my past, I used external acknowledgement to boost my ego's sense of self-worth. It was like, look at me and all that I was able to accomplish, and aren't I special? So I didn't want to go back to that. So I created this defensive, this protection, right? That I thought was the right spiritual thing to do so I don't become like an ego asshole. So, uh, and here is the love of the divine coming through the gift of jealousy, something that we are told to be ashamed of, told that is wrong about us, and was guiding me to see that denying being acknowledged by the external, I was missing the beauty and the love of others to be able to receive back that felt sense of love that I am through another. I mean, even as I say it now, it just kind of like breaks my heart the way that I would do this to myself, the way that, and I share this because I feel that we can all unknowingly do this to ourselves. And the reason we are here is to experience love. And we're here to experience love within our own hearts and through one another. And that's like part of our experience that's so unique in being in the human form is that is that through these experiences, through our human experiences, we get to embody more love within our being. And when we do that, we radiate more and more and more love. And we do so more confidently because of the gift of one another. And my judgments from my ego that were telling me it's more spiritual to deny that or denying me of the love that the divine wants me to receive. And through the gift of my friend and the blessing of by negative emotions, and especially of jealousy. I was being shown how I was blocking myself from receiving more of my heart's desires and the love the universe wants to share with me, which is so much more than my mind can comprehend. And my guess is it's so much more than your mind can comprehend. And so this is why I am so incredibly passionate about the work that I do, because I'm in awe of the love that the universe keeps wanting us to give to us. And we've got all these damn defenses and ways that our ego is trying to make us more spiritual that actually limits us from receiving more of the divine and more of the love that the love of the universe wants to give us, wants us to experience. And it's happening through our feelings, through our triggers, through our experiences to get us to be able to receive more of that love. So here I am. I feel like I live my life as a prayer of gratitude. I'm so thankful all the time because I feel like life is a gift. And here I'm being shown even more that there's more for me to receive. And it just makes me think, what more are you being guided to receive that your ego won't let in because it's judging? It's judging aspects of you. And we just have to let down more of the defenses and beliefs. And there's even more that's trying to be poured into us. So I share this because it's all of us, I think, doing this to ourselves. And I truly believe that there's more love for all of us to have than our limited minds could ever comprehend. This is exactly the beauty of our emotions because it goes past the conscious thinking mind. And so this is where I so get people when they say, like I've gone to therapy and I get it. I get what my block is, but it's just not embodied yet. It's not anchored in the heart. And there's more to do because you can understand something, but your emotions are the gateway into your subconscious, which is it's your heart's knowing. It's the heart's knowing of you and the heart's knowing of love and what's possible for you. So life is always weaving its web to help wake us up, to help support us to receive in ways that are beyond the limitations of our minds. And as I said before, we have no freaking clue what our hearts are capable of creating in our lives. No clue. We just need to find our way back to our hearts more and more fully and more often as possible, right? And that is the practice of alchemizing our emotions from our hearts, and which our hearts are only able to do. It's like beyond our minds, our thinking conscious mind. And so this is what I am teaching you to do in my private podcast series that's called Eyes Wide Open. And the reason this is a private series is because you truly need to raise your hand to say you are ready, because it takes a willingness to call yourself out and go deeper into the heart than what our minds want us to do. And what I know is that there's certain times in our journey when we're ready to do this, which is usually when we're stuck and we feel like we're hitting our head against the wall. And there's other times when we're just in so much sorrow we can't. So this is for those of you that are stuck and you're tired of the pain of hitting your head against a wall, okay? And the topics that we are going to explore are powerful. They're so powerful because they're triggering. And so again, I want you to raise your hand to say, yeah, I get it. I get that I'm probably going to be triggered, and I'm willing to do that because it's going to uncover more of what these emotional states, such as sadness and depression, your anxiety, your rage and anger, your sensitivity, that if not understood can make you gaslight yourself against your own gifts, as well as grief, can all be remembered within our hearts at a deeper level. And that's the invitation, if that's something that is calling for you to do, so that you can own these so-called dark aspects of you as equal to any aspects of ourselves that our ego categorizes as the light, and to be able to see them all as allies in our remembrance journey. So this is the emotional alchemy of the heart. If you are interested, I will add the link to Eyes Wide Open in the show notes. What I hope you can see through my example today is that I am not trying to get over or overcome my jealousy. And I really want you to get this. Jealousy or envy is only quote unquote deadly as we make it. Jealousy and envy is an energy, and we can unknowingly yield this energy in unhealthy ways or healthy ways. And I believe we yield it in more unhealthy ways when it's rejected. And the only way to work with its power is to receive it from love, so we can open our hearts to change us, to remember the love that we are even more fully, not by overcoming or getting over our jealousy, but by seeing it as a great gift to helping us see what our ego, what our minds do not want us to see, so we can regain the power of our hearts and the knowingness and freedom that resides there. So nothing to overcome. And I really want you to take that away. I don't want you to feel like there's anything about you that is less than that you need to overcome. It just needs to be fully received in love. So please know there is no thing, no about you that ever needs to be overcome. The overcoming or getting over is to say that your jealousy or any other negative feeling makes you less than, and that is simply never, ever, ever the case. Ever. We just have to understand that, of course, there's consequences to not receiving our jealousy from love. You know, if we yield that emotional, powerful energy in a way that comes from fear, it, it's the boomerang back to us, and we will reiterate more of that fear in our life. And that's how we self-sabotage unknowingly, not as punishment, but to say, okay, we've tried that way over and over and it's not working. So is there another way? And the other way is usually the very opposite of what our ego wants us to do. But not getting it right doesn't make us bad. It makes us human, where we get to learn how to receive from life, not by overcoming, but by receiving exactly who you are, with love, with honor, and respect for your internal guidance system that cannot do anything but lead you to greater and greater and greater love if you allow it. That is why I honor my jealousy or any other negative emotion that my ego wants to shame. Because I know in my deepest knowing that our emotions are the gateway to embodying more love than my limited mind could ever comprehend. Without jealousy in particular, I would not be able to recognize my own self-sabotage from receiving. Take the beauty of that in. These emotions just want us to receive more and in different ways. And with each emotion, I promise you, they are guiding you to embody different aspects of the love that you innately are, so that you can live more fully from it and be that unique expression of the love that you came here to be. So until next time, as always, know that there is nothing to fix. There's no aspect of you to be ashamed of. You're here just to remember.
I am so honored you have joined me today. If you enjoyed the I'm Perfectly Divine podcast, subscribe so you don't miss any of our power-filled episodes. Also, if you know another who is strong, sensitive, and spiritual and wants to dive deeper into emotions and ancient wisdom so they too can create profound peace and fulfillment from within, please share this podcast. Thank you again for joining me, and I look forward to reconnecting with you soon.